Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another beta playthrough for Diablo 3 with Kagekaze. We're going to continue our playthrough this time with the Demon Hunter, and this is one I'm especially looking forward to, as the Demon Hunter is the one class that has changed the most in the beta, going through near a practical revamp of his system in the middle of the beta. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Zane, the Demon Hunter. And we're going to go through a lot of the systems that have changed for him. I followed the Demon Hunter through 4 Strategy Gaming's videos of the beta, and there's just been a lot that's changed with this character. And there's even going to be more changes coming forward pretty soon in the beta as well. There was a massive amount of tweets last night with Bashiok. Looks like a lot of people are reporting that the Demon Hunter's damage feels kind of low in the beta. It looks like they agree, and they're going to be tweaking the Demon Hunter a little bit. It also sounds like they've gotten close to finalizing the skills in the rune system, so we'll finally find out exactly what they're going to do with that. So first, let's look at our skills. This has changed dramatically. It used to be you had offensive skills, discipline skills, and utility only had preparation. So what they've done, what they did here is they give you a dual resource system here. You've got hatred on one side, 125, 125, and discipline, 30, 30. So discipline, very low, used for pretty much traps and for maneuverability, whereas hatred fueled your attacks. With the Demon Hunter, it was meant that your hatred would fuel all of your primary attacks, and then your hatred would then refill quickly. So you go through and you use a lot of hatred, and then you just wait for it to come up. People were realizing that their resource system was not regenerating as quickly as they'd like it to, so Demon Hunters weren't able to use a lot of their skills, whereas other classes could. So what they've done now, as you can see here, made it so you have hatred generators and hatred spenders. So it's basically brought the Demon Hunter in line with, say, the Barbarian, which had fury generators, fury spenders, and very situational abilities. So in this case, we have Hungering Arrow now, generates 3 hatred, fires an arrow that seeks additional targets. So each arrow is 85% weapon damage and a 35% chance to pierce. Now you might have seen it happen here when I was fighting these zombies, where it jumped from one zombie and hit the other 2. So while it does less than 100% weapon damage, it's very good for having groups of monsters and trying to take them out. But if you have single monsters, you can still use your basic ranged attack.
I have journeyed here to find the fallen star and purge its evil from this land.
It fell on the old cathedral. There was only one survivor, Leah. You should speak with her.
Captain Rumford, more dead are coming.
We can't open the gates.
So let's go ahead and use our Hungering Arrow a bit more here.
They keep coming.
When it was a pure hatred system, this attack did a lot more damage than it does right now. But since it's generating resource, having less than 100% would work.
I've never seen anyone fight like that before. Guards, open the gates. You'll find Leah at the Slaughtered Calf Inn.
Of course, the Barbarian has hatred generators that do 100% or more weapon damage, so that might be something they look into. Just really depends, since it hits more than one monster.
Zakarum has fallen to disgrace.
Alright, I will go ahead and crafted some items for my character here. Some I can't use yet, but I can get them at level 2. So I've got a nice set waiting for me.
Leah, is it? Rumford said that you survived the fallen star's impact.
I did, but it blasted my uncle Deckard Cain into the depths of the old cathedral. I tried to search for him, but the dead were already rising. I came back here to rally the militia, but... Watch out! The wounded are turning!
There's a bounce.
This is killing business.
Alright, let's go ahead and get these on. Additional experience on each of these items. So you can see, range class, you can go ahead and use a shield. The Demon Hunter, very nice that he has the same options as, say, a monk or a barbarian, in that you have single-handed ranged weapons in this game in the form of these hand crossbows. So a Demon Hunter can, of course, use a one-handed hand crossbow with an offhand or a quiver, can use two-handed bows and crossbows, or dual-wield the hand crossbows in each hand.
The dead will overwhelm us all, unless something is done.
Then I shall put an end to them and secure your town.
Thank you. You should speak with Captain Rumford at the gate. He can tell you what to do.
Alright, so let's get our new skill in here. Impaled. Cost of 25 hatred. Throw a knife and impale the enemy for 275% weapon damage. So, whereas our Hungering Arrow's not doing a lot, this one should. I'll go ahead and show off Impale's animation here. It's actually a dagger that's being thrown, where at one point it was actually a massive attack with the bow. So as you can see, my hatred is depleted. Unlike the Barbarian, it will replenish on its own. One thing that the Demon Hunter has over other classes is my generator can actually generate hatred for me without hitting a target. The Barbarian actually has to hit a target for it to get generation. And I do believe this is the same with the Monk.
We've been under siege for 6 days now. Uncle Deckard is still missing. Captain Rumford and the others are losing hope. I tell them not to lose faith, but if help doesn't arrive soon...
We never should have built on this cursed ground. Maybe Cain was right. Even in death, Diablo torments us.
Don't you dare lift a finger to help our mayor fix his wagon. My brother died defending this town, while that bloated coward tried to run away.
Your cart is blocking the way. Move it.
How dare you speak to me like that? I am the mayor of this town.
Then you should be out there fighting.
Are you mad? This town is doomed. Anyone with a grain of sense should be trying to get out. Will you help me or not?
No. You deserve whatever dark fate comes to you.
You know, I'm really liking each response to him. I don't believe I did the Barbarians, unfortunately. I might have to get a recording of that.
What can I do to help fight the risen dead?
I admire your courage, but Captain Dalton and the militia were slaughtered by those things. Only I survived.
Don't worry. I will avenge their deaths.
Well, I have seen you fight. Strike at the wretched mothers and their queen. They're the ones vomiting out these horrors.
They're attacking the barricades!
My hatred is too low.
There! That's one of the wretched mothers. There are more of them in the ruins down the road.
I suppose he had a very serene moment there as he lost his hatred.
I, Deckard Cain, have spent many years traveling and writing about the strange creatures in our world. But the sight of the wretched mothers still haunts me. They are the remnants of Queen Asilla's slaughtered handmaidens who were twisted by foul magic. Now they feast upon cadavers and regurgitate them as newly formed, risen dead. I will never forget the first time I saw these horrors shambling out of the misty woods. Our loved ones, buried long ago, rose from their graves and began to attack the living. However, the risen dead were only the beginning.
And you can see there, my knife actually stuck in the body there for a bit. Alright, I do plan on exploring a bit more this time, as I know I neglected to do with the Barbarian in certain parts. Ooh, what do we have here? Oh, very good. I can go ahead and increase my damage. 4.8 to 3. Let's see what I get here. 3.47 compared to 5. Compared to 536. So not much difference between the single with shield and the dual wield. As you can see, in this case, I can fire faster now and get more generation if I want. I think I'll stick to the shield because I've got more experience on it. And let's go ahead and put on some armor. Not bad, I kind of like the design of the character and the scarf. Alright, the cave under the well. This is a spot that thankfully has been filled out a bit. A lot of the beta videos I saw when the beta first came out had this well pretty much empty with everybody that got into it. Now there's scattered pieces of gold, zombies. Of course, it could just be the random system generator on the videos I watched just always pulled nothing. Okay, more wretched mothers. Apparently I felt that the cart was a bigger threat. Right, I get my first trap. And I get evasive fire. Oh, well, with 2 skill slots, it looks like I'll have to replace both just to see how they work. Alright, let's go ahead and get my experience rings on. Belt with experience gain. Everything I've got pretty much has experience gain. Almost everything. Nice red hood in contrast to the stark black armor. Oh well. Alright, let's see. Evasive fire generates 4 hatred, but costs 4 discipline if you backflip. Fire an enemy and perform an evasive backflip if the target is close. So what you do is you shoot for 115% weapon damage. If the enemy is in front of you and at close range, you backflip away 15 yards. So it's a nice active ability that lets you get away from your enemy if you get too close, with the added benefit of generating more hatred for you. And of course, since it includes a discipline type ability, it will take away your discipline when it uses it. So caltrops, 8 discipline. As you can tell, in a system that only has 30, this can cost quite a bit. Discipline is a much slower regenerating resource compared to hatred. So they want you not to use these as often and make them matter when you do. So it's a trap that snares and slows enemies. Laid on the ground that activates when enemy approaches. Once sprung, the caltrops slow movement of the enemy within 12 yards by 65%. The trap will last itself for 6 seconds. So this is a nice, so considering that you're a ranged class, you don't want the enemy to get near you. It's a very nice ability for slowing them down, and so combining it with evasive fire here means if I can put a trap down, and then if the enemy gets close,
while exploring a cave with hopes of finding hidden treasure, I came upon a most grisly sight. A heap of dead bodies. Unbelievably, as I was searching them for any items of value, they began to rise. I must tell them of this in New Tristram before it's too late.
So I'm going to go ahead and do that backflip again. And of course I was against the wall, so, you know, I just kind of flipped in place because I'm just flashy like that. You can see it takes the discipline. It's not very much for the backflip. Only 4. Let's go and do the caltrops. I won't be sticking with the caltrops for long because enemies die very quickly. I don't really have much need to snare them. But again, being a ranged class, having an ability like that to be able to slow enemies down and then get away from them since I don't want to be up close is very nice. As you can see, I can have multiple caltrips up. There they go. So Evasive Fire is nice in that it does do more damage than Hungering Arrow, but it is only a single target ability. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to stick with the Hungering Arrow Impale combo.
Need more time.
Alright, I got my third Wretched Mother there.
I can no longer deny the true nature of the evil that rises from the depths of the cathedral. It is almost too horrible to admit the truth of it. It is the Dark Lord of Terror, Diablo himself, who plagues us.
So just from the spamming of Hungering Arrow, I can probably see why it's considered a slower class to kill things with. Of course, if I use my
still lingers here.
Actual spender, they die pretty quick. Pretty much have to alternate here.
My hatred is too low.
And that arrow just pierced the enemy and then went right back to the same enemy, so it actually hit him multiple times. So there's a benefit to that. It doesn't have to hit other enemies, it can actually hit one target a few times. So there's great damage potential here for a 35% pierce chance.
Ogden and his wife have offered to let me and Grandmother continue to stay with them. I think we will, now that the troubles are over. I am still tormented by horrific nightmares. I keep hoping they will fade, but they seem to be getting stronger.
That's a journal I hadn't found before. Alright, we've got a dungeon to explore over here, a dark cellar, before we go back to Tristram.
Not enough hatred.
Feel my wrath.
I always love finding treasure goblins. Alright, looks like I'll be leveling soon.
Some devious little goblins have been robbing our merchants. When pursued, they simply open portals and disappear with the most aggravating chuckle. The peasantry seem to believe that the goblins serve a great demon lord known as Greed. And furthermore, that their portals lead to Greed's domain. A ludicrous notion, truly.
thank you for your help. But could you talk some sense into Leah? She won't give up on the idea of rescuing her uncle.
Nor should she. I will help her find him. I could get accustomed to that.
Alright, level 4 in bowler shot. Yeah, get rid of that. It's level 1, but I don't need it. Okay, what I want to do in this instance is I want to hold on to one of these bows. You can see that does good damage. Of course, I can't use the shield with that, but you'll notice even though the bow is a two-hander, it does let me equip a quiver. So you can use a single hand crossbow or a bow with quiver. Thankfully I do have a quiver in here, but it needs to be level 6, so not quite yet. A couple levels. I'm going to go ahead and hold on to one of these then. Alright.
As you can see, business is atrocious.
Oh, buyback. I want to keep that.
Won't even drown their sorrows in drink.
It's a shame that bard got himself eaten.
Come, let us search for your uncle.
We'll need to open the cathedral first. The guards locked it up before they were ambushed. Rumford told me they fought their way back to Adria's hut. The key must still be there.
Alright, let's see what our bolo shot does. It's a generator. Generates 3 hatred, fire a bolo that wraps around the target and explodes. Shut out explosive bola that wraps itself around the target. After a second, the bola explodes, dealing 100% weapon damage is fired to the target, and an additional 75% weapon damage is fired to all other targets in 7 yards. So very nice. It's not as much single target damage as evasive fire, more single target than hungering arrow unless it procs, and it does still have AoE. So I can see it as a decent replacement, even though you have to wait 1 second for the explosion. So I'm going to go ahead and use that, see how it feels. First, let's look at the difference. 3 hatred, so same generation rate. Evasive fire actually had a higher regeneration rate, allowing you to spam a bit more. Alright, well, let's give it a go.
Here, let me open the gate. Adria was my mother, but I don't know much about her. She died when I was very young. I was raised by Uncle Deckard.
What of your father?
I'm told he was a great warrior who was lost when Tristram fell to the demons.
Very nice. I like the animation for bolo shot. So there is that limitation. The downfall of this is that it won't do the damage immediately, even to its primary target.
Your mother had the secrets.
People said she was a witch, but I never believed it.
Of course, that's what I have Impale for, right?
Captain Dalton!
So much for staying at range, right?
Here's the key, and my mother's journal. What I've seen of it is disturbing. I want to know more about her, but that can wait. We need to save Uncle Deckard first.
I will go. Stay here and learn what you can.
Thank you.
Aiden came to me last night. I suspected what was lurking within his troubled heart. I consoled him as best I could. Regardless, wherever he's headed, hell will surely follow in his wake. The shadows close in on Tristram once again, but like Aiden, I'll be gone before they fall.
Of course, the downfall to bolo shot is that if you hit more than one bolo on an enemy, and that enemy dies, the other ones won't go off.
So many dead. The infamous Tristram Cathedral. I am close to the fallen star now.
Not bad. I think I'm going to go back just to the direct damage here. Fortunately, with limited skills,
This is where the star fell.
I won't have too many builds available yet.
Need more time.
So I never actually played very much of the Amazon in Diablo 2, unfortunately. I always wanted to. Just never got into it. A lot of the Amazon's bow abilities looked really interesting to me. I saw a lot of high-level players.
Some foul new disease has taken hold in this land, and the carrion bats are near the heart of it. Since returning to Tristram, I have seen their numbers surge. The evil forces that linger here give them strength, and I fear that the worst is yet to come.
Nice group here. In an instance like this, I kind of wish I would have kept the bola shot.
The grotesques may seem slow and senseless, but they hide many dangers within their hideously malformed bodies. A set of spikes lurks beneath the monster's flesh, and foul parasites nest within them. It is said that these horrors themselves are constructed by a greater evil, a darkness that I cannot even fathom.
Now, I had said in other playthroughs I pretty much played ranged classes, and this is true. Even one of my favorite characters was the Assassin when they released Lord of Destruction. I always ended up gravitating towards the Trap Assassin. Although I did try and mix it up a few melee skills. Obviously it was not an ideal build, but it was something I had fun with. Unfortunately, I did end up dying a lot in Nightmare in Hell. Nightmare Act 4, mostly. Well, I definitely feel what everybody's been talking about the Demon Hunter feeling relatively weak compared to the other classes. Now, I don't have a decent weapon yet, which can really factor into that. But even without decent weapons, my other characters were killing fairly quickly in these beginning areas. Definitely having to make use of both of my skills in order to kill effectively.
Feel my wrath.
Nice jumps there. Good, I have a new spender. Rapid fire. Let's see how that one feels. Okay, let's kill this Kieran bat first. Okay, and that one. Okay, whereas Impale costs 25 hatred and does 275, this costs 10. Continually fire a stream of arrows. Movement breaks concentration and decreases hatred. So what does that mean? 20 hatred initially, and an additional 10 hatred while channeling. Rapidly fire for 228% weapon damage is physical. So it's actually less damage than Impale, but it's a channeled ability, which means it does it faster. Well, that could be fun. Let's give it a whirl, shall we? Fortunately, I have to wait for the 30-second cooldown. Now, you may have noticed in my other playthroughs that when I resocketed skills, even back in town, it still incurs that 30-second penalty. That is something that has been asked about, and Blizzard even said that the current implementation of the 30-second cooldown is the first rough draft, as it were. So it may change as they iterate on it, which means when you're in town, you may be able to get away with socketing skills without the cooldown, which means you could save yourself 10 seconds by using a town portal, go to town, change your skills, and come back. Or you can just socket it and kill monsters in 30 seconds, really. It depends on what you want to do. How impatient you are for that next skill. Let's try this. It's not too bad. It's really fast. I kind of like that. As you can see, my weapon is not really strong enough to... Like it hits very hard. A couple 1s and 2s and...
Not enough hatred.
You better get to hating.